Alrighty here. We have, let me adjust the volume here for you. We have a run of Shining Force City Book 4, The Museum, on Super Hard Mode. Bonus chapter. Alrighty, we're in the museum. You know, I don't know why you'd want to have statues of all the evil creatures and people that you've slaughtered in your campaign, but to each their own, I suppose. As it stands, of course, we have the three troublemakers here, being troublemakers. Standard fare so far. Everyone, behave! Blah, 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 blah! Alrighty. It's not Eric, Jaha, and Luke this time. In true fashion, of course, the statues, mannequins, whatever, are actually alive. Of course, horror's been doing this for years. You wouldn't think a JRPG would be in the horror genre, but this battle will show you that it truly is. Just not in the standard way. Alright. You've got every boss from the game. Now, the important first thing here to do in this first section is take out Solo. Not because he's strong, but of course Bolt 2 hits everybody. It'll at the very least make you take more time. The second thing you want to do is engage Death Woldle here as soon as possible. If you don't, he's going to run all the way into the northeast corner of the map. He's going to hang out with Scorpion Woldle, his evil alter ego, if you will, Warderer and Boldor, and they'll more than rain on your parade, especially on Super Hard. If you have to fight all of them at once, you will lose. Guaranteed. There's no way to win against them. I mean, if you get really lucky and they all straight attack, and then you just, nuke the lot of them, well, of course. But the thing I've noticed on Super Hard, besides anything else, is that the AI does behave differently. As you'll see later, Bazoo will simply not stop using Bolt. I've played the museum plenty of times on normal, he almost never uses it. That's the main difference in the modes. Eom is the exception. He usually doesn't do Demon Breath almost at all. Unless you surround him, in which case then he'll use it almost every round. So, just kind of chilling. Okay, good, we've got Death Woldle. Now you're probably wondering why my group is such a bunch of lovely pimps. Well, that's because I made this my own special project. Well, anybody can do it, but I decided I was going to do books 1, 2, and 3 just for the museum. Otherwise, you have to use these people, but they'll be much, much, much crappier. For example, right now, as you can see, Shade's got, 51 hit points, and he almost took Solo out in one shot. Now, others, like Jaha and Eric, their hit points are usually much lower if you use the default team. So, of course, I leveled everybody up a bunch in Book 1 and 2, I played Book 3, and then, leveled everybody up. Wonder Mush are fun, Gotta get that level 20. Dantum just decides he's going to do a little stroll there, doesn't do anything. Solo with the Bolt. But yeah, in Book 3, of course, you'll get your two magic users here, Natasha and Wendy, up if you're doing the museum, to get Bolt. Oh, not Bolt 4, sorry. They don't even learn Bolt. You get Blaze 4. Blaze level 4. Which, of course, at this point is, a regular attack from just about everybody. 30, 40 damage. There's 34. Shade fires. Face pounded. Alright. Yeah, I kind of, broke my own, mojo there, I guess, going after, Old Blue and Scary there. Dantum isn't a huge threat, obviously, but he will, double up on your magic users and kill them. and it's the beginning of the battle, so obviously you don't want that to happen. So just box him in, standard fare. He can only take, as you can see, 2 or 3 hits, but you don't really want to risk anybody to you know, standard heavy hit, double attack, second turn in a row, blah blah blah. And that's the end of Death Wardle. Again. Though, I mean, I guess you don't fight regular Wardle, his human form, if you will. But he wasn't actually a boss either. You remember, Evil Monster ended that battle if you killed it. The 2 Wardle is quite enough for one battle. And again, Barbara, you want to take her out fairly quick. Not because she does lethal damage, but because she will use the Axe of Atlas like crazy. Which at the very least is going to slow down your advance. And Dantum is a dick. But then again, I mean, if you are essentially throwing yourself at someone with your axe extended, I can kind of see why that would fail. Here's the Blaze 4 again. Excuse me. And you'll notice, of course, everybody has a certain set of equipment. Your mages all have mystery staves, which heal 2 magic points a turn. In the lower modes, it's quite simple to simply spam Sarah's Aura level 4 if you've leveled her up to level 20. And that'll work in normal mode and hard mode. And sometimes they'll be like, haha, that's a noob strategy. If you're not doing it in this mode, you're going to die. I have never successfully done Super Hard Museum without spamming Aura 4. Well, not spamming, but, you know, making liberal use of. Here we've got Claude. He's, Now, my Claude ended up with higher attack than in Book 1. But lower defense, but higher speed, and slightly higher hit points. So I ended up with Book 2 Claude in Book 3. What that means is my Claude's defense is crap. Now, my brother loves Claude, I love Claude. I mean, I've been playing this game, you know, it's about as old as I am. You know, I've been playing it a long time, and very seldom does Claude get enough defense to make up for his having no land effect, no land defense. He's still an amazing unit, but on this team, he's probably the weakest member because of it. And... ooh, I don't know if we're going to live. Dantum just did 4 damage. And if you can't tell, I'm adding this commentary after playing, because this takes quite a bit of concentration. You know, you don't want to be making some funny joke or comment, and then looking up and, you know, half your team is gone. And that's happened before the last time I recorded and did this. That was 3 years ago now. And Gordon is OHKO'd, because screw Gordon. Now you can feel free to shuffle things around, items-wise, because you have one of each ring, right? Excuse me, I ordered a pizza earlier, and it's, of course, choosing just the right time to come back to haunt me. Humor aside, yeah, you can swap around equipment some, but we're not going to do that until about halfway through the battle here. What is important to realize, as you may see by Jaha there, as far as he can move, I used a running pimento on him in Book 3, so he has a bunch of movement. And he has an Earth Axe, even though I gave that to Roos. So that must be standard fare. But anyway, so Jaha has 8 movement. He is literally a mobile ball of destruction. His hit points are a bit low for this campaign. Anything else he'd be fine. But of course, as any Shining Force CD player knows, everything is Bolt level 3 or Demon Breath. Everything. Or Radiant level 2, you know, because fancy names. So, as you can see, this battle really goes in sections. This first section isn't very difficult. You're just making sure you don't just take too much little damage and end up losing somebody, or, you know, Dantum comes in, double attacks your healer or whomever, you know, or one of the mages. This next section, as you can see, we've got our buddy Bazoo. He has a funny name, I like saying it. Evil Monster, and Chu Rao. Now, Chu Rao is the easiest to dispose of, simply because of his lower hit point count. He still hits hard, so it's kind of a toss-up. Do you want to have somebody bring him in from his Fire Breath range, take 25 or so? Or do you use a tank to try to take his physical attacks instead? What I'm going to do here is have some of my people go kind of in this curve shape and come in kind of from the right side. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. Really, the only thing we're trying to do is get Chu Rao to come up. He can do whatever damage he likes, and have enough time to KO him before Bazoo comes in. Because Bazoo, of course, Bolt 2 isn't, you know, lethal at this point. We've got 40, 50, 60 hit points on everybody. But it'll be just enough to finish anybody off who lives through Chu Rao's assault. And of course, you can, if you really want, you could try to keep Bazoo from fleeing in the beginning if you send Claude after him. I've done that once. The last time I did that, it didn't end well, though. Simply because if there are no other bosses around, that seems to, there seems to be part of the AI that says, oh, I have nobody to help me, so I'm going to use this healing rain, because I didn't check a lot of things here. But Bazoo has 2 healing rain. He drops one for you, but he will use another. And the last thing you want to do, this is the other thing that happened, and this is just too hellish to reimagine. You have not fell down and cried over a video game until you have seen Bazoo with like 13 hit points run back, not get healed, wait until Eom and almost all the other bosses were dead, and heal about 1,500 hit points worth of healing from a healing rain. It makes it. I actually did cry because, you know, this is a long battle. It takes a lot to do, you know, and I'd already done it 4 or 5 times. Okay, maybe crying was like, but you get the idea. But it does make this section easier if you run Bazoo down. This set of strategy that I'm using here for each section is it's pretty much what I found to work over the 5 or 6 times I've done it on Super Hard. You can do another strategy if you like. Maybe you're watching this because you're procrastinating from homework and you're like, I don't even know what this game is. Whatever the case. Of course, the other thing is your centaurs have chrome lances, which is nice because they have a lot of attack power. Dawn has the power ring by default in this battle. And that's really nice and everything. High attack power is really swell. But that makes Shade your only long-range damage that isn't, you know, Natasha or Wendy, who can, you know, die fairly easily still, even though Wendy's equipped with the Protect Ring. Now, something that I never do, because I wait until later to use some of these rings, because you'll see some of them are very important. You can use the Black Ring and Evil Ring that you have. Sucks to be you, Claude. We'll talk about that in a sec. You can do that, but of course you risk breaking them. And it takes a few extra turns, you know, get, say, Natasha, Sarah, and Wendy together, use the Protect Ring, go in, but then if they get hit by 2 of any of these set damage attacks, it's not going to matter anyways. So I really do advise against that. As you saw there, of course, Claude dies. Bazoo he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He goes up, he comes down, he's like, I'm going to run at them and use Bolt because I have funny hair. I don't know. Yeah, Claude. Originally, I was going to try to keep a perfect run until just after Eom. I decided against that because Claude, like I said, he doesn't have enough defense this time. You really don't need Claude anyways. He takes too much damage from everything. unless you get really lucky on the hit point rolls over the course of book 1 or 2, and then 3, of course, he's not going to be surviving some of this late round stuff. But even when Bazoo comes down here, you want to keep Chu Rao as your target. You don't want to give Bazoo a reason to use Healing Rain. And he's obviously the weaker of the two members, barring, you know, doubling up Bolt 2 after you've been beat up some. Excuse me again. And somewhat likewise, my Roos, he turned out... Bleh. I mean, he's usable, as you can see, but he's easily the weakest on the physical side on this team. Now, for those who love Chester, I love Chester. I usually use him in Book 3, because he has, you know, I've had anywhere from 60 to 80 hit points on him. He's just ridiculous. In this case, you have to use Shade. The good thing about Shade, though, is he usually gets to about, I've got 55 on mine, usually gets to about 60 hit points even in the end. But his attack just skyrockets in his last levels. I got two attack 14 through 20 for the levels. And of course, you get to use the Shut Cannon here, which is really powerful. But anyways, his base attack is really high. As you can see throughout this video, I love spamming the attack spell on him. We'll be using that as kind of a key strategy here in a little bit. Yeah, random pausing, because it's legit. Yeah, the fun fact though, some of these bosses, they weren't made with certain spells factored in, because you can only get a Blaze 4, I believe on most characters, only in Book 3. I believe. I think the only level 4 spell, I think... it doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm trying to be too OCD about it. But anyways, for whatever reason, either because the developers didn't think you'd level up that much, or not, because you can get Domingo up to Freeze 4, level 20, and totally face pound all the bosses except Scorpion Wodol in Book 1. For whatever reason, only Scorpion Wodol has any real magic defense. Evil Monster does to a point, but not too much more than normal bosses do. Anyways, that's something you'll see here. Even though Blaze 4 is a nice, you know, 30-ish damage, it's very hard to actually make use of. Because a lot of the enemies here are either resistant to it, or the crappy bosses like Dantum, who are like, hey, guess what? If you can't KO me, you're in trouble. Now, Evil Monster here, he's pretty much screwed. I really did. I basically set it up here so that I could take this screwball out before he could start spamming his Bolt 3. Now, even if he gets off his fancy magic and everything, it's really not the end of the world, as long as your people aren't too beat up to begin with. Unless you go up for 5 more spaces, and maybe to the right a little bit, the next group of bosses won't attack you. So you can sit around and heal as you need to. Which, really, if you're not doing that, and you get away with it, you're probably playing normal mode or easy mode. Not to take a crap on your, any playing that anybody may be doing. Hold on, we've got a, sorry about that. And, you know, there are a few things I tried to edit out in this video, but, I guess I had a background download, and some things were, few things were screwing up. Anyways. Yeah, you really have to take your time and heal up on everybody. Because, you know, you basically have to have, in most cases, against these bosses, especially the groups, when considered as a group, you have to have, you know, 50, 60 hit points, or it doesn't matter. you know, sometimes even 65 or so. Obviously, for the big ones like Eom, who are going to use, 30, 35 damage Demon Breath on the high roll. I still don't know why Geppel runs all the way back to the northeast corner there. I've never seen him use his Axe of Atlas, except once through the pillars there between him and Eom, which was more of a haha I hit you than an actual, tactical maneuver. It's, I don't know, he can't damage almost any of your people. He's going to be coming right at your front line, what's left of it anyways. Because, there's hardly any spaces there to move through. I don't know. Anyways, here's where the fun begins. Kisaragi is going to kick your party's butt with Raijin 2 incessantly. Unlike Bazoo and the Evil Monster, she is fast enough and has a slightly higher hit points and defense count, where you can't just swarm her as easily. I mean, if you really plan for it and set up attack beforehand, you can do that. In this case, as you can see, I'm out of magic, so I'm going to use the White Ring. Small wisp of smoke, and a level of nothing. I hesitate to always use the White Ring. I mean, I know you can use it once or twice before an item starts to actually be able to break. But if you don't have the White Ring here in a bit, you are going to be in a very deep pile of manure. It's very hard to complete the museum without the White Ring. The White Ring is basically your lifeline, and not for the Aura 2. Fun fact that you may have noticed in Book 3 is the Prince class cannot equip the White Ring. In every Shining Force game, the heroes can wear the White Ring, but the Prince, no, he's special. He has a different class that's not allowed to use it for whatever reason. Maybe he'd be too broken. He already pretty much is, except for the museum. Whatever. Luckily, Deanna, as he's known as the Book 2 hero, who I've ceremoniously named Dude because I thought it'd be funny with the dialogue, which it was, he could still use the White Ring. Or equip it, as the case is, and he will be a grand defensive tank. Shoot-ha! Jurassic Park reference. Okay, yeah, actually, you probably could swarm her pretty easily. I know I had attack on there, but you have plenty of people to hit with. She's not magic resistant almost at all. The problem is, if she double turns, your mages are, the other, because you only have them for long-range support besides Shade. They'll easily die to 2 Raijins. And so, that's why I err on the side of caution and use, instead, this sort of wall strategy. Here I'm thinking, now, the worst thing that has ever happened to me is probably the Bazoo Healing Rain thing I told you about earlier. The second worst thing is I had just killed Eom. We're just about to get to that part in this session. But I had just killed Eom, and I hit Egress with Natasha. That might actually be worse than the Healing Rain thing. The Healing Rain thing actually makes sense, Duh, if the AI is programmed to use it in an actual intelligent way. Shining Force gets a lot of flack for not actually being a very comprehensive strategy game. We're not going to get into that right now. But misclicking Egress is probably the number one worst thing you can do in the history of Shining Force. I mean, there's always, I should have moved here, I should have moved there. And occasionally it will cost you the battle. But if it's a tough battle like this, especially one that is its own thing, it doesn't matter how much you egress. Well, you can harvest Healing Rain indefinitely, actually, but Luca, don't do that. Anyways. Prey Bell. I'm looking at disbelief in the fact that I actually cared about hanging back against Freybell. She's gonna run up here, she's gonna attack. Watch this. Og. It hurts. Make it stop. Ow. Og. Usually Freybell attacks with Kisaragi, and what she'll do is do the last few points of damage between attacks that Kisaragi does. You know, filler damage, if you will. And of course, 90 hit points is just enough where it's an actual distraction from, of course, you know, defeating Kisaragi. I'm going to hit you with Raging Level 2 every turn, the Ninja Boss. Counterattack! Yeah. So, I guess I lucked out a bit this time. You'll notice that the Eom snakes or worms, whatever you want to call them, they're half the distance they were from Eom originally. This is important. Excuse me. This is actually important because you're in a tighter space. There's no way to kill Eom, which originally, if you were to, this takes a very long time, but in Book 2, you can use Claude and simply fly up to, Eom, and you can get your archers in if you give them, like, the running ring, get them out of the range of the small Eom heads, and kill Eom without destroying the, snake worm things. That would, of course, kill the whole thing, it ends the battle. In this case, that's still true. But it's so packed, it's almost impossible to do. I mean, if this battle wasn't so long, I'd do it just to see if I could. But I mean, you'd probably have to do a lot of, save and quitting, or if you're using an emulator, because, you know, Sega Genesis and CD are old and dead, generally. You could probably spam that enough, you know, equip the Protect Ring on him, use the Power Ring or the Attack Spell on Claw, have him beat on Eom enough, but I think it would take about the same time as destroying the two heads as well in this case. Here we are standing around, regaining magic. Okay, I just gave the white ring, as you saw, to Dude. Let me repeat that. I gave the white ring to the Book 2 hero. That's very, 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 very to the 10th power important. Here's why. There is almost no way to have a character who can tank Eom without that. You can usually get lucky with, if you give the Protect Ring to somebody else, and of course, again, you can use that, Protect Ring gives boost. Lovely. That's all well and good. And there's nothing wrong with that strategy, except if you really do need that Protect Ring on use, you're going to have to do a lot of save spamming, in whatever format. Because it's, you know, it's probably going to break. This is the most consistent way that I've found. After another 40 rounds of shooting, well, not that long. With attack, the Eom heads should go down in 4 or 5 shots. 3 shots would be nice. Probably 4 or 5 shots. By our good buddy Shade, Son of Hans. I actually have attack power, you don't, Daddy-o. Shining Force 1 reference. Lol. You know, it's actually pretty cool playing these Gaiden titles. Originally on the Game Gear, of course. I've actually had the pleasure of playing Final Conflict Shining Force Gaiden 3, the one that comes after Book 1 and 2, for this, which is actually takes the ending of Shining Force 1, The Legacy of Great Intention, or Resurrection of the Dark Dragon, take your pick. Which, it's a very interesting story. And actually you find out why the Chaos Breaker is renamed the Force Sword, and you find out who founds the place called Grand Seal. For you Shining Force nerds out there, I just filled you in a little. Maybe I spoiled it too. If you don't like that, I'm sorry, but I'll delete your comments. Kidding aside, yeah. Shining Force history. Shining in the Darkness, actually, I've never played, but that comes after the events of Final Conflict. It's actually more in the style of, what's it called? Like Eye of the Beholder. Dungeons & Dragons Eye of the Beholder. Yeah, that's what it's like. Except, kind of like it's like Phantasy Star in combat. Like Phantasy Star 4's combat with the dungeon crawling of Dungeons & Dragons Warriors of Eternal Sun or Eye of the Beholder. Anyways, it uses a lot of the same stuff. The same little magic icons, you know. All sorts of fun things. I've never played it. I really don't intend to play it. Because the only lore, well, it would spoil the end of Final Conflict. You can read up on all this if you really want to. I don't remember where, but you can. But I guess it's just one more game I don't have the patience for anymore. I don't know. Now that I've educated you on the history of Shining Force, sometime coming up soon, I don't know how soon, looking at the recording, I'm going to actually cut for a second. Probably in 10-15 minutes, I want to say at this point. Because, yes, I will be sitting around getting Sarah's magic points back and shuffling some things around and then realizing I didn't really shuffle anything around item-wise. Because, oh, that's the other thing. Actually, I should have said this at the beginning of the video. The most important thing is to always use the healing seeds as, not necessarily as late as possible. Obviously, use the tools you have. But you want your magic points for battles like Eom here, where you need to stay out of range. Because, like I said earlier, he rarely uses Demon Breath, but if you group up, you know, you run up to your buddy and use Heal 4 or something, he's probably going to use Demon Breath, and you're going to be worse off than when you started. Oh, also of note, when I did this little project, starting these characters specifically for the museum, everybody has been raised to level 20 before promotion. Except Wendy. Yeah, for some reason I thought, oh, I've never used Isha, I'm going to use her instead of Wendy. I don't know. You know, we can't all be geniuses all the time. We have to have that one stupid moment, no matter who we are. You'd rather have it not in the museum, you know. So, she's a bit weaker than she normally would be, because if your stats are higher than the norm in Book 3, I think Book 3, most of them are like level 6 or 8-ish or so, but if you have higher stats, you'll transfer those in. And for characters like Claude and Randolph, it's whoever of their two selves has the higher. Anyways, if you go up to level 20, you're going to have to do some grinding, you're going to have to do a lot of egressing. Because if you just try to go straight through the game and get to level 20 and then promote, you're still going to have to grind up to get to level 20 again on, you know, Taros or Eom dolls. In the case of either book. It's worth it for this, and on Super Hard, which is why I was playing on. I played all 4 books on Super Hard. You can see at the beginning of the video I chose Super Hard, just so everybody knows for a fact. It doesn't necessarily matter. Actually, what I should have done, since I was doing this just for the museum, is play on easy mode. Been a douche about it, because it would just went faster to level up and everything. On the other hand, if you want to enjoy the game and build a museum team, those are almost mutually exclusive. Because not grinding up a team to 2020 it's gonna take a lot of egressing extra time. Like I said, I don't know. It's a little it's less fun than normal. But hey, if you like that, that's fine. I know my brother-in-law, he loves grinding in any game. There we go. Counterattack of 4. Yum can almost not touch the Book 2 hero with the White Ring equipped. The last time I did this, like I said, I think it was 3 years ago, I had a few more 3s on levels. I had 2 levels where I got 1 defense on the hero here, the Book 2 hero. And that's almost the difference it would make. I had 74 defense on him total with the White Ring. Yum could only do 1 damage. And he still didn't resort to spamming Demon Breath, which I thought was very interesting. Of course, on the other hand, the museum on super hard, some of it is luck. Now I'm used to it. To go forward in time, if you will, I recently a few months ago, I guess, more than a few months now, completed Fire Emblem Awakening on Lunatic mode. Now, of course, most Fire Emblem players say Shining Force isn't a real strategy game, but I play both, so I must be a schizophrenic gamer or something. Really bad jokes aside, that Lunatic mode, it's awful. It's, you have to do a lot of particular ways of playing to make it work. Sometimes you'll lose to dumb luck. Well, it's the same in the museum, to a lesser extent. Here you can minimize the damage, because literally we are going by sections. It's almost like mini-battles. But if left unchecked, you can get overrun. But you might prepare completely, especially the section after Yum here, and get totally wiped out. Because all 3 bosses down there, Boldor, Woldol, yeah, 7 damage, you sucky Yum. All 3 of those, anyways, what are those guys down there? Excuse me again. They get double turns. Boldor is not a big threat, really. He does, his 15 to 20 damage. Multi-hit still sucks. Order still hits for about 10 to 15, usually about. But of course, he'll use Bolt 3 as many times as he can. And of course, Scorpion Woldol, he's basically the one boss that has ruined every single museum run I've ever done that was not successful on any mode. He's that much of a douchebag. He will literally... There are some times where he's just randomly run up to my party when I thought I was not in the threat zone to activate the next wave. And he's just spat Demon Breath all over my party. It's horrible. It's like something, I just don't know what. If you fall asleep easily during this kind of gaming, just make sure you're using a controller or you have your hotkeys put on something your face isn't going to run into. You don't want to face disk into your computer or laptop, and start hitting the wrong buttons. I also don't recommend drinking while playing this. That would be unwise. Though it could be entertaining. Who was it, I think? JonTron. I think he did a segment like that a few times. It wasn't actually as funny as I thought it would be. But, it was entertaining. The other thing, though, the next section we're about to get into, well, I say that lightly. Deva, I've never seen her use her Deva Beam in the museum. I think it's particular to the battlefield that she's originally on, and therefore can't be used here. I don't know, if anybody out of the probably very few people who watch this ever actually see her use it in the museum, the Deva Beam, show me, tell me the circumstances, whatever, because I've never seen it done. I don't think it can be. So, he's got about 190 left on him. And when you look at it, we only have like 7, 8, 900, I think about 900 more damage too, Warder and Boldor and Geppel there, that's, 450 or so. Eom's got 190, so that's 640. David's got, what, 320? Scorpio, okay, over 1,000, over 1,000 still. Though, if you are grinding up, and then you're like, oh, well, Book 1 and 2 were kind of because of it. In Book 3, playing super hard, choose hard in the Shadow Battle. Because as far as I know and remember from talking with my dad, of course, who's the one who taught me to play this game way back when I was like 6, 7, or 8, probably 8, I think, the difference seems to be a little bit of aggression in the AI, but that's not really proven. But in the Shadow Battle, the difference is, if you choose easy, you can just KO the enemy Nick, the prince, whoever you named your prince, and the battle ends. Just like if it was your party. So even if your opponent shadows, being your team, are super powerful, one quick Bum Rush, few good magic spells, your own Bolt 4 and maybe a little else, boom, you win. If you choose hard, however, you have to defeat every single shadow. I dare say it's harder than the museum, because there's really nowhere for Sarah to hide. Heck, even if you're using Slade and Sarah, there's no one for them to hide. And while your opponent's screwing you up, they've still got their own healers, of course, the same team. This battle, of course, is compartmentalized. Until this last unit, really, it's not terribly hard once you get it down. So I think that kind of Shadow Battle is the hardest battle. Probably one of the hardest in Shining Force. I never got to finish Shining Force 3. Even the first part. The actual legit US release part. But I think it's probably the hardest battle. Definitely. Final Conflict has almost no difficult battles. I mean, it really is a very easy game. There are a few really, really, really good units. I don't recall in Legacy of Great Intention or even Dark Dragon, unless you go up to like 5, 6, 7 plus star mode where anything's terribly difficult. Ah, there it is, see? He thinks he has Dude, but he doesn't. He hits low damage on it. That's what is known as dumb luck, actually. That's no strategy on my part. That's dumb luck. Now, Eom you can run away from and go back to as many times as you like. He will not heal. He obviously can't move. So, don't be stupid. Don't rush him and get hit by a bunch of Demon Breath. Don't leave somebody in just to die. Speaking of Eom, Iom as the game usually pronounces, I don't know if there's a real particular difference. I noticed something interesting playing Book 2. What was that, this morning? Yeah. Since I'm playing on emulation here, since, again, defunct system, literally dead. Hey game, how you doing? I can't play. Anyways, legality issues aside, and as if anybody would actually care, that's probably why to watch this. I noticed when going against the Eom statue in Book 2, it looks, except for the horns, which aren't like what one may think of when they think of an angel or a divine being, a friendly one anyways, necessarily. But it's not really what you think of an evil being either. you know, it looks like, you know, literally looks like a giant angel type thing, except with the weird horns. And it even looks like it has boobs. As you can see here, Eom looks more like some sort of demonic insect. Fair enough either way. I just think it's interesting that the, now, does that mean the Eom statue is supposed to be an actual representation of Eom? Or what they see Eom as because they serve evil? And Eom is obviously some sort of destructive thing. I mean, the thing can't even talk. I am apparently a lesser devil, as David almost refers to him as. You know, you only killed the little devil. I can't even talk. You know, I don't know. Jaha's a dick to Eom. That block actually matters here. Because, well, probably matters in the grand scheme of things. 40. I mean, unless it was a heavy hit, Jaha still would have lived because he hit low damage on the Demon Breath there. But just in terms of counting the number of hits rather than the damage itself, yeah, on paper, Jaha would have died if he didn't block. And we finally get to make Eom explode instead of melt. Oh yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa. What's happening here? Okay, I thought I edited that out. I have no idea what just happened there. I can't find that spot on my editing board here either, where that actually happened. Well, I know where the intro slide went now. I doubt anybody watching this is going to care about a 4-second interruption. If you do, what can I say, in case there are kids watching this? Let's see here. Go take a cold shower and beat yourself with a hammer, I don't know. Or just play the museum on super hard mode, that's equivalent. This is the tricky part. You must, you see what I'm doing there. You go down and to the left, and you might not be able to see it on the map right now. If you're playing it, you'll be able to see that space there, at the bottom. Well, I can't point obviously on the screen. Just wait a second, and it'll, Oh yeah, I'm checking Wodel's stats because, you know, I hate him. Yeah, this little space to the right of Jaha here. You want to have some people go through there, but stick south. You don't activate the threat zone of Chuckles, Dummy, and Sicko there. Now, if you're like me and you're an OCD mathematician, sometimes you just fiddle around too long. And I think I do use the Protect Ring here in a few rounds. But yeah, I do way too much fiddling around and everything. I tried to cut down for the sake of this video. I've never gone where I had Jaha before I actually set him down for his movement. I've never stopped anybody there in that southeastern part. I don't know what would happen. I don't know if it's part of their threat zone or not. If it isn't, you could basically line up some people on the south there, and with the right timing, as difficult as it is with the double turns, bum rush the 3 there, and at the very least get rid of Warderer, dropping the threat down to Woldle spamming Demon Breath. Whether that would work or not, I haven't actually tried. On one hand, it would be useful. On the other, since Woldle can just double up Demon Breath and kill just about anybody on a given team, I don't know if it actually matters too much. If anybody wants to submit even just that part of a video as a well, you can't do video responses anymore, but I'm not sure what happened there. Huh. Oh well. Oh yeah, I did another cut there for magic point regain. Obviously, I'm more tired than I think. Fun fact, I use boost here, and then I use almost none of the characters on the front line that I used it on. That's a big spoiler right now. Oh, that's what happened. I will admit, I use a save state after defeating Eom. I did. There are 2 reasons for that. One is because, again, Woldle will literally just shit all over your party with double Demon Breath, and he has so many freaking hit points, there's nothing you can do about it if he just keeps doing it over and over and over. Let alone Warderer and his happy littleness there. What I did accidentally, you see those pillars to the right, that space to the right of Luke? If you put somebody there, Woldle will run up in Demon Breath, and usually some of your party's there, and he doubled up and killed my prince. Game over. Obviously, as a purist, normally I wouldn't do a save state or anything. If you are using emulation, you do whatever you like. In this case, since I was recording, I did not want to have to do this half a dozen times, because again, part of it is dumb luck. I mean, if you want a challenge, but you don't want to do something this hellish, try hard mode. Hard mode is pretty good. But you still won't be as good as me. Ha! Yes, we must make this a mustache measuring contest. I say that instead of the usual comparison that people make of male genitalia. Mustache measuring contest, I think it's more appropriate to say around people, and it's more fun, I think. But as I once said about Bolor, you don't mess with a large, muscular man who's always holding a large piece of wood in his hand. And you can take that however you like. You'll see around this part, I basically use Aura 4 and the Healing Rain. Healing Rain's going to be here in a couple turns to heal only 2 or 3 people. There's a good reason for that. And that reason is coming up in, probably a couple minutes. This surprised me. Both of those. Warder attacking and missing. For one, the bastard doesn't know how to swing a sword. For 2, this is the problem, but I didn't think Eric would block. So we're gonna heal, right? Wrong. One big screw you coming right up. With a side of up yours. Yes, with a side of up yours. So by this point, I'm PO'd. And I've decided, screw the rules, I have money. Wait. Little Karibo reference. No, screw the rules. Yeah, because at this point, what have I got to lose? I have to take Warderer out here before he spams Bolt 3 one last time. Because I almost have no frontliners left. I mean, I've got Roos, Jaha, and Luke, and Dude. I mean, Woel doesn't actually even take hits very well. Obviously, you're much stronger than when you first met him. But he still has, what, 250, 260 hit points. That's just a little much to take down all at once. Normally I have more people left, and what I'll do is send both the hero and the prince in just long enough to hit Bolor with both Bolt 4, which will take him down to 1 or 2 hit range. Especially if I can have somebody else come in and throw some magic on them. Well, there you go, you just got rid of Warderer and Bolor, and then Wolol's still pissing on you, but you know that happens. But it's better than what happened here. Things just did not work out, as you can see. Actually, I always thought Wolol looked more like a lobster with a scorpion tail. Maybe he's some undiscovered crustacean. Maybe he's the missing link. Never. We're not going to get into that right now. That's just not the kind of humor for a gaming. Not for a gaming expose. Another level of nothing. Another level of nothing. I use attack on Luke, then I realize I can't get him in there. You could tell Wolol was a chair-bound paper pusher who relied on his demon breath before he went into his scorpion form. By his attack there, he just kind of flails around. Oh, giant pincers! And that's how he does damage. But you gotta admit, Boldor's theme is catchy. Very catchy. Boost spell wore off. Yeah, see, I didn't do anything with it. Dude, why don't we hit Boldor? This is the part of the game where you spam everything you have. Spam. I don't know why I use that word so much. Use everything you've got left. Now, I got lucky here that Boldor didn't come running after. Sometimes he'll do that. Most times it ends up badly. If I flail around hard enough, I'll deal damage. I was originally going to use heal level 1 here, but I knew that I was going to need aura level 4 during this battle here, or sometime after, or this section, or sometime after. So I decided to conserve the magic instead. Yes, I for some reason want to use attack past level 1 when it doesn't exist. That's how badly I want to face pound Wolol right now. If you're not familiar with the term face pounding, it was discovered by my dear brother during a fun night of gaming. It means exactly what it sounds like. Though I encourage people to use it cautiously around certain parties, because they could be offended by it in a way that actually, you know, would be truly offensive. Not for the sake of political correctness, but actually being correct for decency. Here I am lecturing on cultural mores in the middle of getting spat on by ghostly jizz breath. It happens. And Roos dies. I mean, he can only take so many heavy hits. Or demon breath, you know, whatever. Don't try this at home. That maneuver right there, is probably the biggest risk I took this battle. I don't recommend doing it. I mean, I kind of had to, but I wouldn't recommend it. Because what happens is, I mean, Bolor, he's boxed up here pretty well. He can't do anything to Sarah. But if Wolol turns even just one turn of Demon Breath, that's probably, what would that be, 15-20% chance of a KO. Probably actually higher than that with how much bosses hit heavy hits. And Wolol counterattacks. You see, I always imagine if this was a real-time game, that Wolol would start flailing around and stop just long enough to spit Demon Breath, and then start flailing around again. You know, like dropping someone who can't swim in a swimming pool, and they're spitting up the water, except in a really evil I'm trying to kill you way instead of, oh, crap, that guy can't swim, we better help him way. This is probably the stupidest move I've made. Or the biggest dumb move. I mean, obviously this wasn't totally detrimental, but this was a dumb move. Okay, move back. Everything looks good. Except I forgot, when you have people in that position, he will use Demon Breath. Yay! I think I've said Demon Breath like 99 times in this video. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is wrong, however. Yeah, give the Kid Elf the healing rain. That's a really good security policy. Normally I give it to the Prince. Because Prince is never on the front lines in this case. And everything was lovely once again. Because he can only do 1 damage. Keep him boxed in. You don't need him rushing over and killing the Prince. I mean, I'll say that a dozen times. I've had 4 runs stopped cold because of that. Runs past the gap that I had because I'm like, he's not gonna run back there just to hit. Yes, he did twice. Crud. I mean, it's probably should be pretty basic tactics by now if you've even played Shining Force just up to this book 4. Just in the Shining Force CD itself. But, yeah, don't underestimate the power of the spam side. Hit him back. Fun fact, my last run all those years ago that I keep referring to, like it was yesterday, it was pretty memorable, actually. I had, Deanna going toe-to-toe with Eom and counterattacked 7 times. I counterattacked Eom, I mean, not the usual. So, that made that go a lot quicker. I wish there was a way I could do that again just for the sake of showing off, well, maybe that, but making it quicker. Because that was the longest part of this video. And it's going to be the longest part of the battle. There's no denying that. You don't want to rush it, or you will die. Alrighty, we're past an hour here. And that son of a bitch finally dies. Fun fact, you've probably seen this the few times I've brought up the menus. If you check a person's status, you know, bring up the full window, you have 10,000 gold. That's pretty cute, right? We're getting face pounded. We're literally dying like flies, at least in this last section, but we've got 10,000 gold coins. Maybe it's for the souvenir shop later. Would you like your friend's severed head? Look! Hey! That's our buddy that got Demon Breath spat all over him. Ew, it's like ectoplasm, it's still all over him. Like, maybe that was a bit... Anyways. Yeah, I don't know why we have 10,000 gold coins. For shiggles, I guess. Yes, that must be it. another level for nothing. Hey, I can level up to level 99 by using Boost or Aura 4 every wrong game. Luckily, Gapple isn't terribly magic resistant. I'm just hitting him with everything I've got because I'm sick of looking at him. One damage. One damage. I don't know why I didn't have the Prince run up and just fry him with the Bolt 4, just for the heck of it. I save that for, you'll see, for Deva in a little bit here. That's great, but probably not the best use that I made of it. Just to make sure he's really good and dead next attack. Hey dumbass, you're swinging too high to actually hit me. Sorry. I try to keep the colorful stuff to a minimum. Just in case there are, you know, younger audiences watching. I'm becoming a high school math teacher, so obviously I don't want to be in the habit of yelling fucking shit randomly or anything like that. But you know, then again, the way I was raised, there were a few things that I saw and heard about that I probably shouldn't have, and it didn't turn me into a screwed up person. I don't think so anyways. Commenting on, apparent parenting roles and such as, aside, you know, because hey, I'm only in college. Well, I wouldn't even know about that really, would I? I was going for a joke off of that somehow, but it's just not funny anymore in my head. So you'll just have to hold your breath if I ever do a video in the next 3 years to find out the punchline. Attack level 1. Dude's attack was boosted by 18. Excuse me. Deva is literally just Eom Part 2. She obviously has a higher attack stat, but a lower defense stat by 15-ish? 20? So her extra hit points really don't matter. The only thing that does matter is actually her, her Deva Breath and her physical attack do slightly more damage than Eom's. But the thing you don't want to do is step back and recollect. I'm gonna guess like Eom in Book 2, you can hit him a few times, have everyone down to like 1 to 5 hit points. Healing Rain or Aura 4 or whatever, you know. If you try to hold back for even just usually 1 empty turn, Deva will start using Deva Aura, which heals her for 20 each time. If you're in bad enough shape, of course this accumulates. And you'll get to the point, if you don't have enough people left here, she will simply out-heal you. You'll get to the point where you don't have anything left. Ta-da! You lose. It makes one wonder who Deva really is. I mean, obviously we know she's this odd old woman that's actually pretty cool in the end, you know, tests people, you know, the Cypress Princes to become kings. Which is, you know, that's really interesting. But, you know, she's just like, oh, you only killed the little devil, or whatever. Talk about Eom. Okay. Is she the person, you know, is she this world's Chuck Norris or something, you know? When she was young, she was, you know, beating on demons or devils or whatever, like Xeon, you know, just for breakfast? I don't know. That's how we'll get Shining Force back in true form. It'll be Shining Force, Deva. And if anybody actually goes for that, I'll probably cry. course, at this point, if you have, let's see here, what would it have to be? If you had Shade, let's say here, not even going for people with defense, Shade, Eric, probably Deanna though, he's up there on, and Jaha. And if you had all of them, you could probably take out Deva with just Sarah on the sidelines for 1 or a 3. Because she has such low def. Well, you'd have to cast attack on 2 of them, obviously. But you probably could just go and blow her away. Which I have done once. But that was on normal mode. That's when I was doing strategies. I'm like, oh, crap. It doesn't work on this mode. I mean, it works, quote unquote. Obviously, the numbers and letters and dotted I's are in place. But keeping all your people that long probably isn't going to happen. There it is. 200 hit points left. On the nose. I'm fairly convinced by now that Deva can't double up any of her techniques. You know, anything that has her name in it. I mean, on a very rare occasion, I see her double up the Deva breath. But she won't Deva Aura twice in a row almost ever. And of course she can't Deva Beam twice in a row. I think that's every 3 or 4 turns on Book 3 map. Anyways. Yeah, this battle culminates with seeing who could win. An old lady beating on you and using Denture Breath? Or can you come out swinging and win? Na, 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 na. Ow. Ick. Yes, Jaw, he looks like an insect, but don't worry. He's much tougher than a bug that can be stepped on. Back when I was young, we called Jaha Buckethead. But the truth is, he actually wears a pot on his head. But of course, Mother did not want Father making fun of a character and calling him Pothead. I know the delivery on that one was pretty crappy, but it was still funny, so you should laugh a little. You know, it's good for you and all. Of course, that's what my great-grandfather said about Whoppers as well. I don't think he was right. Nah, great-grandpa's always right. As you can see, elemental magic doesn't do too much damage, but, you know, I didn't get counterattacked, so all is well. Ha! Right there, I thought Jaha was going to attack again. It's over. Great. We're done. There's nothing else. He didn't. So dude had to do it. And that's it. That's it. If you have any questions, comments, if anybody actually watched this, feel free to leave a comment and a like, but don't subscribe because I don't upload anything usually for 3 years at a time. But comment, definitely. Especially if it's rude, because then I'll just block you. Saves me the trouble in the long run. Or if you have something nice to say, that's appreciated, but I'm just not used to it. No, you don't give the engagement ring to her now, you dummy. Anyways, I hope you had just as lovely a time as I did if you actually sat through all this. Have a wonderful life.